Is Wall Street too involved buying single-family residence homes? Today, we're looking at some of the data that's come out on this article, that interesting article I was reading about how much involved some of these corporate bonds and these corporations, hedge fund investors are buying into these single-family residence homes in lower-income family zip codes. And what's happening is they're taking over these houses and then turning around and renting them for a higher cost. So in this video, I want to talk about what are some of the challenges they will face as far as tenants, renters looking at homes, and also future home buyers buying primary residence, and where do I see this heading? Let's get right into the video. All right, so before we get into this video, you guys know I'm a real estate agent and lender out here in Las Vegas. Check out LV Home Professionals. I'm going to say this into nauseam because I want you guys to go there. Do me a solid. Go there and take a look at the website, right? I mean, what's it hurt? 30 seconds? Go take a peek. See, there might be a home out there that you might have interest in, or maybe you have a long-term goal or buying that investment property or second home. Maybe you're buying an ultra luxury $1 million home, 1.5 million plus, right? So just go check out LV Home Professionals. I want to see if you guys check that out, and hopefully you guys register with that website. Also, I have two YouTube channels, which is LV Crib Tours. I'm touring houses here in Las Vegas like every other agent. The difference is I feel that I want to give more detail. I'm not going to say I'm more passionate, but I'm very passionate about giving people the right information. And really, I try to be an expert of my craft. It doesn't matter what it is. So as a real estate agent, you know, the stigma out there is a lot of realtors, you know, copycat and do things. Well, I'm trying to, you know, do the same things that other realtors are doing, but maybe do it where you have a little bit more information, a little bit more knowledge, and a little bit more understanding of what you're getting into on these homes. Now, I also want to bring up that I also have a podcast that I do every Tuesday and Saturday, so I want you guys to check that out as well. So let's get into this article, folks. I want to talk about what's happening. Very interesting as far as what I'm seeing here in the markets. And I've also talked a lot about this on my podcast, where you have cash investors, hedge fund investors, ultra wealthy, and they pool money together to buy properties. Now, why is this important to anybody out there that's not a part of this group? Well, Wall Street has started to get involved with this. And they have the ultra luxury or ultra rich people, including you have corporate bonds and also securitization going on, where they're buying these properties. They bought tons of properties last year, and I think it's upwards of like 200,000 plus properties. And it's a very small margin. It's really like 2% of what we see out there being bought. But the challenges is this could actually go maybe head to 10 to 15 to 20%. And what's happening is, you know, a lot of these investors are coming in with an unfair advantage. We all know that the market is softening, but they're still buying properties, and they're buying them over list. They're buying them cash. So the average buyer out there, and we've talked about this a lot, lower income to middle income households are not able to afford a house. So what happens, right? What's going to happen next? Well, we see that there's a lot of involvement on trying to figure out, there's really 5 accounts or 5 corporations or just entities that are pulling these monies together. And these are big corporations. A lot of them are just, like I said, investors, and they're just pulling money together to buy properties. Now, what it shows is that in certain areas like Atlanta and also in Arizona, seen it happening here in Nevada, Las Vegas, not as much. They're buying up these properties, and they are raising the rents immediately right after they buy the properties. And in addition to that, they're taking in enforcing stricter laws. If you don't pay your rent, then potentially you're going to be, you know, kicked out, and it's not going through the same process. Here in Nevada, it's very difficult to really evict somebody, but you look at these other cities, these other states, it could be a lot easier for them to evict these people, and they're really making these laws or creating laws through the lease on what they're signing up for to get these people out of the house. And they're raising rents. You see that a lot of these families were, 19% were in arrears on back due rent payments and fees. And so you have to look at this and say, well, this could be a problem, right? Because you look at the housing market, and yes, it was really hot, but you have these investors coming in and buying these properties and then controlling the assets. And right now I say it's 2%, but if it raises to 10 to 20%, right now the mom and pops own most of the secondary and investment properties. But we know that a lot of these investors, they're going to store their money in these properties. So you see a lot of these renters. I mean, it goes both ways, but we're looking at it from a perspective of what could happen, right, if these investors continue this process. Well, it's really just monopoly, and it's really control, and people aren't going to be able to afford to, buy a home if things keep going the direction they're going. And so they're targeting these lower income zip codes. And this has come out in the news, and they've said, well, how do we fix this? Well, there's some positive things that comes with these landlords. They're, doing renovations on the house. They're paying higher taxes. There's other things that you can say, well, they're contributing back to getting these areas in a better position with these homes. But you have to also think that they're in this to make money, and they're going through securitizations, selling off the cash flow to other investors through securitizations. And so you have to look at these things and say, well, could this affect us here in Las Vegas? Could it affect us in the long term? I think it could. If somebody doesn't step in and control somewhat of this, you don't want to have a monopoly of 5 huge corporations or entities buying up properties. One of the entities increased their portfolio by 27% just in the last year and a half, 2 years, and that's a huge number. So you have to think, well, if you have all these investors going in and buying these properties, paying cash, who's out there to buy these properties? Well, you're going to still have a lot of people that are in the market to buy homes. Those future home buyers, those primary residence home buyers, the first-time home buyers, people that are looking to rent and they're just trying to survive, they're unfortunately in a position where they're not going to be able to sustain those payments. And we've seen it. Atlanta, Arizona, a lot of these people are struggling. They're in arrears on rents. Now, I see it both ways. You're buying an investment property. We're not targeting investment owners that are mom and pop, right? The people that maybe own the 1 to 5. We're targeting these big entities that are just coming in, scooping up, thousands of homes. We're not talking about, the 5 to 10 people out there, or, the people out there that own 5 to 10 properties. These are big investors pulling money together, securitizing this investment and selling it off to other investors. They're creating corporate bonds and buying these properties in a bulk. And it's really hurting a lot of people out there on rents. You've seen it. I understand that things are starting to get softening in the housing market, but still rents are where they're at today. And I don't see a sign of them actually coming down. And rents always follow what the housing market does. But you have to think, if this continues to happen, are we all going to be future renters? The society, is everybody out there now going to turn into, if we keep letting this happen where Wall Street comes in and buys these properties, are we going to be future renters? And the average person out there that wants to go buy a home, they have no chance, because they're going to compete against investors like this with cash. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section. If you have anything to talk to me about with real estate, check out LV Home Professionals. I'd love to help you out there. And we'll see you guys at the next video. Thank you for watching.